Of course, there are whole area of where the human emotion, human creativity comes. I don't see AI is coming close to that. I read an article which says that good enough is perfect in case of AI. No AI is perfect. If you go to Google Translator, give a phrase, 80% of the time he may be right, but 20% of the content will be wrong.
And AI basically is a journey. It's not a destination that you have solved something problem and that's it. You have to increasingly invest and someday you will start seeing a significant portion of your problem getting solved by AI, and then you start from there.
We built the product, but we could not market the product. And then much later, and it so happened that you build this product with your effort and love, and you don't really want to dissociate with that very quickly. One of the mistakes is that we hang on to those products for quite some time. Even if you're not getting customers or getting only POCs, not really converting into revenue, I still hang on to that, that I see that could be a mistake. Are this technology will develop enough to serve all the aspirations? I'm very bullish about that. I believe that the technology bubble is not going to, is not a bubble for technology. It's just the beginning.
Hello everyone, this is Sudeep here. Welcome back to my channel once again. Today's episode is about the rare collision of bold entrepreneurship and cutting-edge intelligence, the kind that doesn't just follow the AI wave but builds it from scratch. My guest, Anshuman Bhattacharya, embodies that journey. He founded Cibia Analytics, one of India's early AI startups, scaled it, steered it through chaos and breakthroughs, and ultimately led it to a successful acquisition by the Adani Group. Today, he heads AI solutions at Adani AI Labs, driving innovation across sectors like energy, retail, and consumer goods. In this conversation, we will peel back the layers from the messy startup grind to high-stakes corporate leadership. We'll talk about conviction, failure, ethical dilemmas in AI, and what it truly takes to balance innovation with impact. So, get ready for a deep, honest dive into how entrepreneurship meets intelligence with stories, lessons, and insights you won't hear in a textbook. So having said that, let's get started. Enjoy the show. You are one of the pioneers in the field of AI, right? And that too from a city like Kolkata, so where people do not generally look at AI and at that age, right, when you started. So it's a privilege and an honor for me to have you in this session. So thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Sudeep. Of course, it is great to be part of this show and share my ideas and thoughts with your large audience. And I'll be happy to answer your questions as much as I can. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. To start off with, as we do generally in this show, when there is a new guest, I request them to introduce themselves to the audience, starting from their background as to how did they grew up. Did you have a tendency to get into technology, specifically into AI, were you always interested during your college days, school days, and things like that? So if you can share a little bit of background about yourself, starting from your childhood, maybe.
Sure. My name is Anshuman Bhattacharya. People call me Anshu. It's just because I have worked across many places in the world. The large name was difficult, so we cut it short to Anshu. You can call me Anshu either. I was born and brought up in Jalpaiguri, which is a small district town in West Bengal, India, northern part of West Bengal. It's a beautiful city, a beautiful town in the foothills of Himalayas. So I studied there till class 12. Then I moved to Kolkata. I joined Jadavpur University and started in economics. I did my graduation and post-graduation in economics from the same university. And this is the time probably I was kind of getting closer to what we know today as AI. However, this term was not very popular on those days or have different meanings. I tell you what happens. When I studied economics, I also was fascinated by one subject by the name econometrics, which is kind of a intersection of economics and statistics and mathematics. This is where I first started to learn how to use data and generate inference and insights from data by what I today call as modeling, by building models. This is the, you can say, the first idea of data science or machine learning or anything close to that I got. But after passing, and I passed my masters in 2000, there was not really such a market of modeling data science as such in India. It was just coming out. So in the first couple of years, I did something different. I was working like a online journalist. However, in 2004, beginning of 2004, when this market just started up in India, and we used to call it modeling or analytics, I shifted to that and I moved to Bangalore. Before that, after my post-graduation, I lived in Mumbai. So I moved from Mumbai to Bangalore and joined this industry. So another thing happened before that is that while I was studying in university, I was also started learning computer networks, programming, etc. from NIIT, and I completed a course called GNIIT of that days. It was a long 2-year course which I did between my post-graduation, during my post-graduation time. So that gave me exposure to computer programming, databases, large databases, how to handle databases and all this. So that is, you can say, my interaction with technology started there. Now with this technology knowledge, and also I was part of the online journalism for quite some time. And then with my background in econometrics, it worked out for me very well that this combination of work actually can be, this combination of skills actually can be very useful in the area of analytics, modeling and all this. So that's how it started. 2004, I joined this industry and have been continuing there for last 21 years and hope to continue more.
Yeah, absolutely. We need people like you to guide who are new into AI and all that with all your experience and all that. So happy to have people like you around us still to guide all of us in this field. So, okay. So the next question to you is that you obviously is an entrepreneur also, right? And how did it all start? Like, how did you think that I need to build up my own company? Was it because of lack of opportunity wherever you were working, or you had some thought process that no, I need to do something of my own, or what was the thought process?
Well, I think there was a kind of an idea of building my own company, own agency was there quite long. I remember that in 2004, I went for a job interview and they asked this question, what do you see 5 years down the line? And I, without hesitation, told them that I will have my own company in next 5 years. Well, it did not happen in next 5 years, but it happened in, say, another 5 years time. So I had this idea in mind, but of course I did not know what exactly to do or how exactly to do at that point of time. But as my career progressed and I kind of worked for multiple companies across geographies for different type of clients, different type of projects, I think those ideas got more crystallized during that time. And ultimately in 2014, we started our company.
So when you started your company, did you think that you are going to make it an AI company? Or because at that point of time, 2003, 4 and all those, more of a boom of service related company like the TCS, the Cognizant, and all those kinds of companies, right? So what made you think that AI can be something that you can, or maybe analytics as a whole, as you would like to call it, like what made you think that this is the field that I want to go?
No, interestingly, what happened is that from 2004 onwards, I have been working into analytics industry. The first 4 years or so, I worked in Bangalore, and a part of that 4 year also spent in US, directly working with the clients. I came back to India, then I moved to Calcutta, my adopted hometown, you can say, and then I joined large IT companies like Cognizant and then Wipro. So what happened is that I have worked in very specialized analytics service companies where I learned the deep, various names were given like analytics, modeling, data science, machine learning, big data. So all these were like, our idea was to build a big data modeling company, and that's what we set out for.
Yeah. Okay. So you obviously built a company from scratch with your own hands, right? And then you, after running that company successfully for a few years, you tasted success in like getting merged with Adani Group, right? So like walk us through that journey, right? How were the initial days? What were the struggles, right? If somebody has to open their own AI or analytics company today, would they face similar struggle? Can they take some lessons out of what you had faced? So please talk us through that.
Sure, sure. Before that, let me tell you like how we come up with the idea, or I'm saying we, but I was a solo founder. So how we came out with this idea. So if you remember those days, 2010, 11, 12, 13 is when the big data, the word big data was very popular. The hype of big data has started, right? At the same time, two more technological breakthroughs have come up. One is the cloud computing. You know that the AWS and we started using AWS. I started using AWS in 2009, and then the open source computing for analytics and modeling and all those. So what happened in my career of about 7, 8 years, 9 years in this industry, I saw that all the clients we are working for are very large Fortune 200 or 250 clients. They have the infrastructure or the data to build their AI or data science or machine learning solutions. And for the rest of the companies, it was kind of a prohibitive, because the software that we used to use for those modeling SAS was very costly, and every statistical modeling require a huge computing because it's all our metrics operations. Infrastructure or server was not available for everyone, and that's why it is kind of, if you look at the mid-sized companies or large but not the top 300 companies, for them it was quite difficult to adopt that. But these three technical breakthroughs, the cloud computing, the big data, and the open source, kind of broken the barrier. Now almost everyone can develop an AI or data science solution using these three. So they do not have to invest in large servers. So their capex requirement is gone. The software license not needed to be purchased. You can use R and later Python, and the big data can be used to handle large data sets and manipulate large data sets. So with these three, it also came to my mind, and I remember that I was working for Wipro during those days, that we can create a solution platform using these three, which can be used by smaller clients across the world and definitely clients in India. So that was, you can say, the motivation of starting this company. So while I have an idea of starting my own company for long, but the actual idea, actual concept on which will develop it came much later. I think in 2012-13 it came. And then I left my job in Wipro and started this company from Kolkata. It was a very small, humble startup at the beginning. We did not have an office in Sector 5 or anywhere. We used a small space to start with. We approached people through networks like LinkedIn and others, and gradually we started getting 1 or 2 jobs. Then we also added our team members one by one or two. So initial 1 year or so, it was not a struggle as such, but it was like kind of scratching the surface and figuring out how we can reach out to client, how do you deliver, how do you ensure quality, how do you communicate, how do you collect money from the client. So these are all very important part. And then certain good things happen. We got inducted in the NASSCOM warehouse 2015. And after that, we got an incubation opportunity with M Junction in Kolkata. So we were able to move our office to Sector 5. That helped us in many ways. One is that we are associated with a very large company, which is a joint venture of Tata Steel and SAIL. Then we are, because we are in Sector 5, they want some respect. So we able to, attract good talent. Then the clients also was more confident on us that we are working inside a large office, and they got confidence that these are not a fly-by-night operators. So these were the initial struggling days that from where we started, and because we have done some good work during that time, we kind of started to work with many of the top Indian retail and pharma companies, retail and consumer companies. So that's how it started. That's how I would say the ball started rolling somewhere in 2016 or so. In 2017, because we were kind of growing, we raised a fund, not much, about $250,000 or a little more than that. And then we tried to expand in outside India, and we first tried Middle East, which were not very successful. With a partner, we expanded into the Southeast Asian region, and thankfully we started getting a good amount of work in Southeast Asian region from Malaysia, Singapore, and other markets. However, you all know that by 2019 end, the COVID outbreak came up, and in next few months' time, most of our clients, all of our clients in the Southeast Asia market were stopped their projects. So we actually started facing a lot of difficulty. So that was, like you can say, the part of the roller coaster ride. But as I believe that when one door closes, another door also opens up. This is a period also when the large Indian companies started thinking about machine learning and data science and modeling kind of work. We started working for large Indian companies like Asian Paints, Pidilite, Excite, later Imami and others. So there was a setback for some months, but again we started growing. But this time our focus was only in the Indian markets. So gradually we built this company now, and then 2022 or 2021 we also started working for Adani Group companies. Some of the Adani Group companies, Limited, Adani, Total Gas, etc. And during 2022, middle of 2022, the Adani thought of building an AI center in Kolkata. They wanted to build an AI center and they chosen Kolkata as the location. And initially we started working as a partner for them. They will get job from various group companies, and some of those projects we will deliver as their arm's length partner. And these we continued for some months, and then one day they said that they wanted to set up a center and whether we are interested in being a part of that. That is the time we decided to move on with Adani, and that's how the acquisition happened. This decision was made sometime in September 2022, signed the definitive agreement on middle of October, and by end of December the acquisition process was over. From 1st of January 2023, we become an Adani Group company, which is still going on. We are working in the still that fashion.
Yeah, that's a great story to hear. Actually, reminds me of how Google started from a garage, right? So something similar. So yeah. So next question for you, right? Was there a point in your journey, right? Most startups like fail within their incubation within a year or so. That's the hard fact and the data, right? So was there also a similar like thing in your mind that, or during your startup days, that you took that in your mind, you thought that no, this is not working out, so let's go back to where I was, like I need to go back to my job or something like that? So
yeah, see, I honestly initially I given myself 2 years of time. Like whatever happens, I'll not stop in the 2 years time. So of course, as I said, the first year or so was kind of scratching the surface. Second year, maybe when we started figuring out what we can do, how we can do, how do we acquire clients, how do we acquire people, how do we deliver, and all this. Of course, the growth was slow in the first 2 years, but it did not come up to us that we should stop that. One reason is that I have a very good mentor by the name Krishna. He was my boss in Cognizant, and I still have a very good relation with him. And he has been a continuous source of inspiration, that he said that, and he has been himself has been a very successful entrepreneur in the early of this millennium. And he has been a continuous source of inspiration. He says that these things come up, goes away, but if you have really good solutions, good projects that you are delivering for a client, there should be no reason why you should stop. While there was struggle, there was monetary issues, there was collection related issues and all these, there was sometimes that also culminated into people issues. Good people you cannot attract or retain if they are not taken care well. I mean, both in terms of money and others. So I think we have a very good culture. We built a very good culture in our organization, but there has always been a struggle of money. So that was the time we never really thought of closing down or moving to what something else. We focused, but there were struggles, number one. The other thing happened is that in the second year or so, we thought of building two products, which we have built to a great extent, I would say. And one of the products was moderately successful, but the other product was not successful at all. And that also at the time when it questioned that while this approach of product is right or not. And somehow we pivoted against the product and became a service oriented company. We only built a platform on top of which we used to serve our clients. But the real struggle came for, I would say, this COVID period, when because of our, towards the Middle East market, the Southeast Asian market, where we have most of our clients, and somehow you are dependent upon them, and that COVID hit that market mostly. Our project got stopped, and that was a time when it was very tough. But again, some other silver line opened up, and we were able to kind of sail through that. And if I look at today, I see that end of 2020 and 21 is the period where our growth was maximum. Of course, we've not been a very big company. We have done very interesting work across many clients, and that is, you can say, the end of the day is the biggest satisfaction we have, that we have built projects for clients which they are very proud of. We are very proud of, and they've given us repeated work, and that is how we build the relation with those clients.
Yeah, of course. Nothing great comes until and unless you have very good amount of struggle behind that. So that's what is the philosophy of life also, right? So your
Right.
story.
But one thing was sure, that there would be struggle, there will be ups and downs, but we are not going to quit the idea.
Yeah, absolutely. People who have been successful in life, you look at their journey, it's the same story, right? Life is like that only. So wonderful to hear all this, sir. Very, very, encouraging and very motivating actually. So the next question I have for you is that when Adani Group acquired your company, at one point of time, did it ever come to your mind that am I going to lose the control, the creative freedom, the culture that you had built up, that you talked about? Was there a feeling like that?
Yes. At one point of time, it was there. I'm sorry. Think that what if we lose the full control, and how do we serve the clients? What about our products or projects, etc.? Those questions was in mind. But because see, even before coming to this acquisition, I have worked about 10 plus years in corporate. So I know the corporate culture, what it is. But at the same time, we are also looking for a bigger platform of CBR, because we ourselves was feeling that we are getting constrained. We are not able to push the company as much as we should. And we thought that Adani could be a very good platform, and that actually has worked out for us. In hindsight, when we can see that, it has been a very successful way that we have got a larger platform. We built solution both for Adani Group companies, external companies, etc., which has been a fantastic journey. Yeah, at point of time, it was like, you build this company, there was some emotional moments, but given that I know the CBR required a larger platform, and given my background in corporate, I was always very sure that it will be a very good acquisition wall for our clients, our products, our people, everything. And that actually materialized.
So dragging on from that, right? You have had experience working with corporates. You have built up startups from scratch. So what is this one difference that you find between big corporates and startups that want to make a difference in the world, right? So what is this thing that you can talk?
See, a startup founder or a technology founder, they always think of disrupting the business, bringing new ways of solving a problem, or even bringing new problems to solve. Okay, so that is where the creativity of a tech founders comes in. While a large corporate is very much structured and you have to operate inside that boundaries. But my experience here is that even because AI is a new to everyone, be it a large corporate or be it a tech company, even the large corporates are also today open to experimenting. So a tech founder should take advantage of that fact that a large corporate, if you are not serving their day-to-day operations, but mostly you are supporting their experimentation, I think these also provide a good opportunity. Of course, there are stringent guardrails, there are processes inside a startup. It does not, things takes time, approvals and all this happens. But even beyond that, there are even today large corporates who are willing to push through. There is enough creative meat one founder can get. But the difference is that, like, the disruptions are, while a disruption is a mainstay for a tech startup, the disruptions here are minimal or incremental in a large startup, a large corporate. So,
Yeah, right. Again, I mean, taking a cue out of that, if you were to start today, once again, right? So would you go for a corporate job, 9 to 5, with, let's say, it has experimentation and whatever you talked about, it has opportunity to learn technology, do new kinds of disruption in the corporate as well, or you would still build your own startup from scratch where you have absolute freedom to do whatever you want?
a difficult choice. Firstly, inside a large corporate, you kind of start getting more comfortable. Be it your salary, be it your other things in life, you are taken care of. But when you think of a startup or starting on your own, there is a lot of uncertainties. So, if there is a company who is innovative, wants to build really big things, I don't see a reason that why one should not pick that up. But given all this, where the industry is going or the AI is, the advancing or developing, if you are really fascinated or interested in the challenge that AI poses, I think trying on your own, given your experience, given your skills, given your confidence, the thrill would be very different if you want to build something from scratch and something very valuable. Few corporates will give as much freedom of doing something. It's like that. Like if you are on a startup, you are building something, you are open to fail. Like you were planning to build something which may or may not culminate. However, in a large corporate, that openness to failure is limited. You have to show some output, you have to show some benefit. So that situation sometimes also restricts your thinking, restricts your creativity. So I mean, right now definitely not, but maybe down the line, a couple of years down the line, if you really have certain great idea, I would like to taste that startup scenario once again.
Yeah, very interesting. People watching should take a note of this, that people who have already tasted success again wants to go back to their early life and recreate things. So that's a very interesting way of looking at things. Thank you for that. So coming back to your, going back rather to your early days when AI was not that something that people looked at as what is AI, something like that. People would ask what is AI. But though we would have studied AI in our college days, a chapter or two or a book or two during engineering and all those things, but AI was not there, right? So you took up some challenge to introduce AI to customers, to the market and all that, right? So how did you convince your customers that, hey, this is going to be the future, or this is going to work for you, this is going to give you some result? So tell us about that.
Sure. No, this is a very interesting question. And when I look back in my journey, this has been very interesting times for me too. Okay. Now, what I say AI or what people understand about AI is like a technology marvel. Yes, of course it is. But there are certain smaller things also we can do in AI, which really does not require a GPU or an NVIDIA or an LLM, etc. But still you can use your data or some external data, etc. Build alerts through these processes, these rules. What if we learn this from your historical data and come up with maybe rule-based or model-based scores or recommendations? So initially, these people also used to listen to us, and when I look back, like lot of my time and energy and money actually has been spent on educating the Indian businesses about AI. Okay, I used to travel to Mumbai, Delhi, wherever, and talk to clients on those things. Sometimes there was a problem, sometimes there was no problem, but still they want to hear what you can do for them. And this kind of educating the community has been there for long. Of course, this did not went into vain. The same clients, maybe after a year, sometime after 2 years, got back to us and we developed a solution or a product for them. So yeah, it has been difficult, not difficult, but a time consuming journey. Thankfully, I met some of the business leaders in some of these companies like Asian Paints and Pidilite and Excite. They were very and Imami in Kolkata, they were receptive of such solutions. Okay, try that. And most of our work or most of our product, after a lot of pitching, what happened is that, okay, try this in a small data set or try this in one market, see what happens. Are we getting a result of it? So that's how we started. Most of our products or projects were actually a POC. Then we built a prototype. Then we scaled to few markets. Then we scaled all India, and this journey continued. One good thing happened during this period is that the client believed in us. Not always we were 100% correct, but they believed in us. They given us the opportunity to rectify where we went wrong in the next iteration, and in most of the cases, if not all, we have been part of their AI journey from the time they conceived an AI project till they rolled out and ran it for the whole market and whole population for them. So clients were receptive. Clients were receptive of idea. Of course, they are also educated. They keep their eyes and ears open. They know these things are coming. A lot of learning happened from the external markets. Like this, what we propose in the clients in India, many of the advanced countries like US or European countries have already been doing that. So that was another validation points for them, is that okay, it's not something absolutely new we are doing. Is there is a history. It's just that whether it will work in our situation, in our country, with our data, with our budget. Those were the kind of questions.
Okay, maybe a little bit out of context, but I still remember reading some of your posts on Facebook in the early days around 2000, I think 2010-12, where you would take up a problem and try to analyze it very logically. I used to love those posts. I mean, I read them multiple times and I thought, what is this guy writing? I mean, this is amazing. Obviously, you also brought in your journalistic angle into that also, because you had a flair for writing, I guess. So that was really wonderful. So I really used to enjoy those things. Okay,
Thank you,
so
Sudeep.
my next question is that during your building, or maybe let's say that working with AI and building up your company, it's a very interesting journey. What are the mistakes that you did, right, during your building up and working with AI that you would take to, or you would like to take lessons from today, if you are again like starting from scratch, like you said, maybe few years down the line, and maybe not repeat them? So what are those few mistakes that you would like to tell our viewers about?
Of course, I mean, there were mistakes, but we did not know that when we are working on this, did not know it was a mistake. It later happened that we realized it was a mistake. One of these, I said that we tried to build products, and we actually kind of put a lot of effort on building two products, one in the marketing analytics area, another in the demand forecasting area. We built the product, but we could not market the product. And then much later, and it so happened that you build this product with your effort and love, and you don't really want to dissociate with that very quickly. One of the mistakes is that we hang on to those products for quite some time. Even if you're not getting customers or getting only POCs, not really converting into revenue, I still hang on to that, that I see that could be a mistake. I mean, I could have put my effort elsewhere during that time. And being a solo founder, it so happened that you are doing most of the things, sales, sometimes solutioning, looking after the delivery, collections, everything. And if you are kind of putting your efforts into a lost cause, that is could be very dear to a company. But that is one of the mistakes we have made. I believe that we should have, the idea of product was not bad. We just should have learned early enough that this product will not work because the market is not matched for a product, AI product as of then. And I'm talking about 2014-15 or maybe 16. That is one. The other thing is that I think we've focused much more on technology and technology, bringing out using new technologies and experimenting and building a model better and better. However, the same effort would have gone to my sales and marketing. Of course, I am a tech guy. I have always been a techie. So that's why it came natural to me, and sales and marketing was kind of an acquired skill for me. So I always given a choice, I always been into the tech side, but we should have put more effort on sales and marketing from the beginning. Then we could have less struggle or could have grown bigger than what we were in the last day. I think these two are the major mistakes, and the learning for me and for any other who wants to start up or starting up or have started up would be that focus on sales from the beginning. Whatever you build, make sure this is useful to the customer and go and reach out to as many customers as possible. Your sales process should be as good as your tech, if not better than your tech process. So focus on sales is very important, and build something which gives an utility, which gives an impact to the business. Don't build something because it's technically very interesting. That has been my learnings.
Interesting. So how do you find the market different today from when you started, right? And what is the most misunderstood truth about AI now also, that people think that this is what AI is going to do? for me. So
Mhm.
something like that. If
No,
you can talk about.
great question, Shrip. So two part of this. Where the market is today, definitely market has matured a lot in the last 10, 12 years time, or the say last 2 decades I'm in this industry. Market has matured and there are maturity from every angle. If you look at the number of or percentage of companies who are interested in AI earlier at my beginning of my career in 2003-4, it was maybe 10% of the companies who are seriously thinking. Today almost 100% of like India and definitely in Middle East R&D stage. But the common set problems for those, the solutions are pretty much there available and almost any company can use that. And the third is the technical maturity. Lot of the things which we earlier when we built this company either was not available or you have to build from scratch, and lot of time and effort would go, and those will make a project unviable. If say for manipulating a data or say getting data from 10 sources and combining them, transforming them and build it is 40% of your or 50% of your job, that means the project ultimately is not viable. Today, thankfully, those kind of technical solutions or accelerators are available. And finally, the ecosystem, the overall ecosystem. If you really want to build something, you don't have to do everything from scratch. What we used to do. And those days, the Amazon used to give or AWS used to give only a VM. And on top of that, you have to build all the services. Now today, AWS probably gives 300 plus services. GCP also has a whole set of point solutions for various models. Go to Azure, the Azure gives you the complete pipeline of conceptualizing a project to the delivery and utility and deployment and operationalizing the project. Everything is straightforward. So this ecosystem is also very mature. So now today building a AI product for a company is very easy. Quite easy. Very easy is not said, but right term, but quite easy. Much easier than that. So this maturity has come and people started accepting that the AI is kind of earlier when we did, AI was not even an experimentation. It was just a thought, either a top management thought or a brilliant middle management guy thought of doing this, and that's how we started. But today AI is part of every strategy. This is one. Now what is the problem? What is the problem with AI mostly in case of business? Many of the businesses, I have worked with them, spoken with them even today, means that AI is like an omnipotent solution for everything. It will solve all my problem all the time with 100% accuracy, which is not true. Not for anything. Not even if you go to medicine, there is no omnipotent medicine, right? Till today, people die of cancer, any kind of cancer, right? So this is a learning that acceptance that AI will solve maybe a very significant part of my problem in most of the time, but it will not solve all my problem all the time. People ask for, I want 100% accuracy in my models. So if I say the price will be 5 rupees, the 5 has to be 5 rupees, cannot be 5 rupees 5 paisa. So these are the expectation, these are the illusion. These clients, I mean, more advanced clients who has some idea, they are not, but many of the businesses also suffer from this illusion, which sometimes makes the project unviable. My suggestion to them is that even if you're not getting 100% right at the 100% of time, try to make use of whatever is available so that you still make a significant gain from this. Like I read an article which says that good enough is perfect in case of AI. No AI is perfect. If you go to Google Translator, give a phrase, 80% of the time he may be right, but 20% of the content will be wrong. You use so many LLMs, but still you don't get always the correct answers. So this acceptance that this 100% accuracy or absolute accuracy is an illusion is a kind of a deterrent as of today.
Yeah. So still, I mean, two things from my point of view, from what I understand, is AI is not magic. That mentality has to
Correct.
go away. Second is it is entirely dependent on the data that you are feeding to it, right? So in the real world, data is all chaos, right? You need to structure it and properly feed it, and then you can expect some sort of output, which again may not be, as you rightly said, 100% always. It is not possible. So that expectation needs
And not only data, even the algorithms what we have are not perfect.
exactly.
There are limitations in algorithms also.
And AI basically is a journey. It's not a destination that you have solved something problem and that's it. you have to increasingly like invest, and someday you will start seeing a significant portion of your problem being getting solved by AI, and then you start from there. So that's my
Correct.
understanding.
Yes, absolutely. So this maturity has to be there in the businesses.
Okay, so that's an interesting thought. So again, going back to what the market looks like, right? Do you think
Mhm.
AI market is overhyped? Is like, are we still living in a bubble that might burst every day, any day?
So if you think from a financial bubble that so much of money or such a astronomical valuations are coming, I cannot comment on that because very difficult to comment whether that bubble will break or not. But that depends upon a lot of factors, including movement of money, finance, capital, and all this. But if you think from a technology perspective, are these technologies going to stay? Are these technology will develop enough to serve all the aspirations? I'm very bullish about that. I believe that the technology bubble is not going to is not a bubble for technology. It's just the beginning, and we are going to enjoy this for a quite a long time. It won't be a bubble, definitely. But to me, I think that this is not even a this is a really a revolution that what the Gen AI has brought in last 3 years time. And today exactly in the month of November, and I know that I remember the 2022 November, I think middle of November, end of November, OpenAI launched their chat GPT, and which is kind of the milestone moment in the history. And in the 3 years of the time, the amount of progress it has made, becoming only from text to image to every kind of, we call it the multimodal, it has been. And I believe that the science of classical revolutions that we have learned, that it would be all pervasive. It would be, breaking through the revolutionizing the way of doing things. It will be generating extra, high proportionate values. All are true today in case of AI. You look at today that these Gen AI tools are being used not only by the technologies, by everyone. Be it a school student, be it a college student, be it a teacher, professor, be it a doctor, be it a blogger, influencer. Everybody is using today these AI tools. That means this is an all-pervasive solution today. The value generated is huge. With someone I was talking that, and he was pitching the idea that a film can be made, feature film can be made in a day. It probably take anything between 3 months to 1 year or so. But his speech was that a film can be made in one day using various AI solutions. So this is highly revolutionary. My ROI or time to value has kind of multifold, infinitely fold. So that is why I believe that these AI, especially the generative AI technology that has come, it is going to revolutionize the world, already revolutionizing, and it will change the world for better, for sure.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought. You brought in that making a full feature film of say around 3 hours within a day, right? That's an
Within a
interesting
day.
thought. But still, I believe, I mean, I would like to know your thoughts about this. These films lack the soul that humans would have produced, right? For example, if I may take the example of a few big Bollywood or Hollywood stars, right? The kind of human emotions they will bring into each scene or things like that. AI cannot bring that, right? Like even if you have a high
Possible.
ROI or things like that. So
Possible.
how do you
So
look at that?
my idea, and not only in case of film, but in many other cases, there are three types of work that AI or humans do, which can be compared with AI. First is that there are certain types of work which can be automated fully, which are mostly the menial type of work, task, repetitive task, which can be, or certain simple decision making. There are second type of task which is where the AI will augment. So say I am a script writer and I need 1 month to write a script. Maybe AI can help me write the script in much lesser time. But the human element, that what I am bringing and what the people today is calling the human in the loop, HITL, is obviously over there. Or maybe I am a music director and I can think of a first level composition which can be augmented by AI, where the AI is augmentative. And the third is that where AI is still not there, and I do not know whether AI will at all come, where the human emotions, etc. are associated. It could be an acting, it could be singing a song, it could be definitely paintings, etc., where AI is still not there. And I do not have any reason to believe that that will be very soon. Okay. And those are the areas where the human would be always be at least in the maybe the next decade or another decade, it would be human would be very, very relevant.
Yeah. So
So I'm not looking at a AI generating a complete film itself, but AI is helping the process of making the film and shortening the time as well as bringing quality.
Right. So do you believe in that school of thought that AI is going to replace all the human beings and take away all our jobs? Because there are scary videos, scripts, articles written all about it, and it's all over the internet, right? And new people, junior people, they get often scared about that. So what's your advice to them? Like you spoke right now. So if you can elaborate on that.
No, the way I look at it is that AI today or even in let's say next 1 decade of time can only take care of certain tasks and not the full job. Like say today this example that you and me are talking and recording, AI at the best will capture this record, maybe clean up the noise, etc., or transcribe that the whole discussion into text. This much AI can do, or maybe this video it can be monitored or it can be corrected by AI. But beyond that, AI doesn't really have much. Even said you rather than you bring in your avatar, and rather than being me, I bring in my avatar, and that we have the same questions and same discussions. As you said, at some point of time, it will feel soulless, right? So I don't think AI is going to take jobs away, or maybe some menial jobs AI would take, like those guys who deliver food, and you can see that drones are actually delivering food. But again, the question of cost efficiency will come. In a country like ours, drone would be more costly than a human person, human delivery person. But my belief is that it's not that AI will take any job away, but more importantly, how you can using AI to leverage your skills. You are an accountant, you have been using calculators from the beginning. Right, because it augments your skill. It's not that you cannot add up two numbers or multiply two numbers, but it will take time and you will be diverted. So calculator that way actually augmented your skill. So in now also AI will have been made, or where are the gaps in the compliances? Questions like that, and you augment your skill. I don't think jobs are going away, and AI probably will create more jobs, according to me, than it will take away. Of course, certain tasks will be automated, certain processes will be faster and more efficient and more accurate, but humans will still be there. And of course, there are whole area of where the human emotion, human creativity comes. I don't see AI is coming close to that.
So do you think it is also a challenge for human beings to upskill themselves to compete against AI in certain areas, right? Like, for example, maybe drawing a picture, right? We can draw very good pictures using AI. So as a human, if I'm an artist, should I upskill myself to draw better pictures than AI, or it's going to be a soulless thing that AI-driven picture is?
My idea is that rather than competing with AI, because if you really ask AI to draw a picture of a flower, AI probably will do it better than most of the artists. But the moment you are thinking of not a flower, but a flower in the morning, facing the sun, by a riverside, and you are trying to connect it with the poetry or trying to connect it with a song, that is where the human creativity will come. You just need to know how to use AI. Rather than competing with AI, my suggestion is that you learn how you use AI to your benefit. So what we very easily called these days as prompt engineering. An artist may not be drawing by pen and paper or using a smart board, but the artist probably in the future will be drawing by writing certain prompts to the AI. You have to learn that skill. But having said that, those will serve certain purposes. But when it comes to human emotions or creativity, expressing a own feeling through a poetry or through a painting or through a song, I don't think AI is really meant for that, or it will go that way. Only for certain commercial reasons, quick artwork creation, etc., AI would be used.
Yeah. So you have obviously worked I'm just shifting a little bit the track of the discussion. So you have obviously worked for a very long time as a solutions architect, like solutioning design and all that. So what is your thought process when you are given a particular problem to solve, right? Before even touching the data, looking at the data or anything like that. So how do you start for young budding solutions architect, if you can guide them in some way?
No, this is very interesting questions. Like, we all are techies. We all are good with mathematical modeling, statistical modeling, and all those stuff. And whenever we see our data, it's like our internal passion that we want to jump on the data, build a model, fit a regression line. But of course, maybe at some point of time, I was also like that. But I think very early enough in my career, I was kind of asking these questions, if not to anyone, to myself, that why we are building this model, what the client or the user will do with this model, how he is going to benefit out of this model, where she is going to use these models. So I started thinking or discussing on those lines. And this is quite not, of course, this is an acquired idea, not day one I started this, but at some point of time, it was the idea that it came that I asked these questions even before seeing the data. So I believe that that's a very good starting point when you are facing with a question or a project which has data and business context, etc. The challenge is that, like, people like you and me who have been into tech for many years, our hands are always ready to type codes in the computer. But my belief is that more the time you are hands off, you are keeping your hands in your pocket and asking these questions, I think a better project, a better solution, a better design will come up. Not very easy. We are very good at solving technical problems, like given a data, fitting a model, or for you building a data database, designing a database or data architecture is very tempting to us. As long as you can hold back those temptations, I believe that better quality output will be created. So if you ask that what my suggestion would be to the budding experts, technologies, is that stare at the problem, think on those lines. What are the utility of this problem? What if I don't do this project? What the client is going to do with this? How the client is, more important question, how the client is managing today? If I do this, will his life be improved? Would he get more revenue? Would he be more efficient? Would he cut cost? How much cost he would cut? How much revenue he will gain if I build it correctly? These are the questions. As much as you probe, your solution design will be as good.
Yeah, a very interesting way to look at a particular problem. Thank you for that. So moving on to a very interesting aspect of AI, which is ethical AI. There is a lot of talk about building ethical AI and all that, right? But again, it depends on data, guardrails, policies, and everything concerned, right? So from your experience, do you think really an ethical AI building an AI ethical AI model is possible with so much of chaos with data, biasness and everything?
So let me address this question this way, or approach this question this way, that ethical AI is again a journey, right? Journey to be more fair, more correct, more equal throughout the development or the usage process. I may not heed the completely ethical, which is ethical on all aspects, on all which takes care of all protected groups, which takes care of all aspects of data. I may not reach there, but my journey should be guided towards that. My guardrail should be built that we should achieve. This may be an utopian one, but we should plan to achieve that down the line. And we should start from the very basics. In my experience, I have seen that ethical concern comes from two aspects. One is my data, which is probably easier to handle. Second is that the algorithm, more than the algorithm, the output the algorithm is throwing. The biases are inherent in the algorithm that nobody knows. Now say, today you are building a model of whom you should give a loan and whom you should not. And you build a model and you see that a particular race or a particular age group or a particular gender or a particular geography location are getting biased. My model is such that it always negates those people who live in a particular pin code. Put up the algorithm, the predictions, the forecast, and see whether doing the simple slice and dice in the model, I compare the 65 plus age group with the 30 age group, and whether I see there is a difference in the acceptance rate in both the groups. Okay. Or I take we can 65 age group, non-whites, females, and all such cards we see and see that we do not have a bias while what my model is prescribing. If there is a bias, go back and see how we can correct that. And there are methods of correcting. So, and there is no end to that, because today you have a set of data built on which you build a model and you identified certain bias, corrected it, fine. But tomorrow another portfolio of data will come to you. And you have to continuously monitor whether the new portfolio has a bias in that or not. If there is a bias, then what should I do? So my guardrails, number one, should be able to tell what the biases are. and also should tell what I should do if there is a bias. So it's a continuous process. The ethical AI journey is a continuous journey for me, and we should have an idea that we will get into that situation where I can tell that my model or my output is not biased against any individual, any race, any gender, etc. And that journey we have to continuously be through. That's
Right.
my way of looking at ethical AI.
No, that's absolutely right. I mean, I also feel the same. It's a journey. It's not a destination. Okay. So moving on to my next question, which is, have you had situations where AI had predicted wrongly and that led to a business failure or some monetary loss, right? And in that case, whom do you blame? Do you blame the AI, the data, the decision maker? I mean, you understand, right? There
Yeah,
can
yeah.
be scenarios like that, even if it actually didn't happen in your real life, but there can be
No,
situations like that.
I think I have experienced in my real life also, because we have built models in hordes, multiple models, multiple prediction goes. But just because the way we look at it, say I'm predicting someone to be a defaulter and he did not default, is not really a problem, right? If I may have spent some money on analyzing him or going back to him and asking questions, but it did not brought in any financial loss. But if this is the other way, that I'm predicting someone that he will not default and he has default, and that cost money, like if has default means it's hundreds or maybe thousands of dollars, so that cost money to my client. However, at least the clients are matured enough to accept such issues. As long as out of my 100 predictions, I'm correct 98 times or 90 times, and maybe 10% of the time we are not correct, client also give us those benefits of doubt. And that's what the maturity is. Okay, the client also will think that other 90 cases it has worked better. It's like a trade-off. Like before, what the client was doing, that he's missing maybe 30% of the defaulters. Right now, I have reduced that to 25%. I reduced that to say to 10% or 12%. So that 18% is a gain to him. He would look at that way rather than looking at whether we made major losses or not, because these are all like there is not only one prediction, there are multiple use cases, many predictions, and you may go wrong on certain cases. But if you look at like any catastrophic, like AI has predicted something and catastrophic failure has occurred, I really do not have such experience. Maybe like where we have worked, there's such cases were not there. The only close I can think of is healthcare, that your diagnosis was wrong, and that you have diagnosed someone not having a lung cancer by looking at the MRI and all those images through computer vision, but 2 months down the line it came out to be a positive case. It's a catastrophic loss, and that is the reason I think till date on certain very sensitive cases like healthcare or disease diagnostics, AI is not fully like only the decision maker. It is like one of the enabler of my decisioning, but other factors needs to be checked before. I mean, even today, I don't think any of the system build, completely depend upon AI and looking only from one angle and coming up with decisions which could be catastrophic in nature.
Yeah, right. Very well said. I have last 2 or 3 questions for you. So, one of the things as an entrepreneur, right, you obviously have pressure from the customers about ROI, right, return on their investment. So, if you are building an AI solution where you need to bring in a lot of ethics, look at the data, slice and dice the data, do a lot of testing, training, and all those kinds of things, reloop, go back, and it's basically a loop, right? So how do you manage that expectations of quick ROI, which the corporates go by, rather than building a solution which is kind of at least give you 80% return on the ROI, or like as we talked about, right? Nothing can be 100%.
Very, very good question, Sudeep. This is a dilemma I think everyone is having. While there is a quick fix model, I have built a model and I should just productionize it, or should I test whether it is passing the other ethical and other concerns? Many of the businesses where the ethical concern are not harming any individual, harming any person, etc., people have a tendency to go for those solutions. Say I'm just thinking of retail or similar cases where I am recommending a product to you. At the base, my product recommendation is wrong and you would not buy that. It's really not harming a person. But if it is a financial decision like whether I'll provide you a loan or not, or you are really in need of loan and you have no reason to be excluded, or if it is a healthcare, they're like they just what we just have spoken. Those are difficult, more serious concerns. So couple of things are happening here. Number one, of course, business ROI of an AI project is very important. At the same time, clients don't want to falter on these guardrails. On certain cases, certain industries or certain geographies, there are now that this has become legal requirements. If you look at, there is a Dubai AI seal which ensures that the AI solution is at least bereaved of any known ethical concerns. There are EU AI Act, which takes care of an AI solution that is not getting into the privacy or getting the biased against any protected groups, etc. Very interestingly, India also have brought up thing. I have seen in last 3 to 6 months a number of legislations are not legislations like the number of policies are coming from RBI, from SEBI, from the ministry, that is the MeitY. Everyone is coming. One good thing is that number of ethical concerns are now legal. It is legally binding. Okay. So it's a legal liability if you do not pass that. So businesses will not take that charge. But even beyond that, there are concerns where the business, it's open to business whether they would go for this ethical concern, check ethical concern and see whether the model is behaving in the proper way or the expected way. Many of the businesses, at least the matured businesses, they are proactively taking this stance and saying that, okay, fine, I'll add another month to my project, but I'll make sure that these concerns are not there. Say tomorrow when any of my users will use this solution for say retaining a customer or approving a loan to a customer, etc., they are confident enough that this model has a transparency. I understand why this recommendation is coming. I understand why I'm denying a loan to a person. I understand why I'm suspecting a person would default in my payment. So that clarity has to be there. Although a lot of the companies are taking care of that, which makes our life easier. That we as practitioners always want to bring in these ethical concerns, the explainability, the responsible AI into the system, and which is now by certain legislation is mandatory, and in certain other cases businesses are also understanding the requirement, the need of that, which is very good, and I'm sure as the days pass, there will be more such compliance requirements, and which will ensure that every business looks for such things.
Yeah. So last couple of questions. The first among them is, do you believe that fully autonomous AI is possible?
In some cases, yes, like driving a car, it is already there. I don't have experience myself, but I know that my friend who sent me a video that when he got down at San Francisco airport and booked a cab, get in the cab, put the luggage, and the cab drove to his house. He lives there. So those things are definitely possible. Of course, the ecosystem has to be matured for that, which is available in the other countries. Many other cases, the full automation through AI is possible. Most of the industrial cases. I know that many of the Chinese factories today are humanless, or many of the logistics operations are humanless. Those are possible. But when it comes to certain creativity, emotion, or certain very high risk human hazard areas, I don't think in next 5-10 years this is going to be mainstream. Those would be mainstream. We may say here and there and song written by AI, sung by AI, composed by AI, but those would be aberrations or than the norm, in my idea.
Yeah. Okay, so very interesting discussion. I would like to go on and on, but unfortunately we have to stop. And my last question of the day for you is that if, as we discussed earlier in the podcast or the beginning of the podcast, that you would like to maybe try another stint as an entrepreneur again. So if you decide to start in a couple of years' time as a fresh entrepreneur, right? So what problems or what challenges would you like to address through your solutions?
I really do not have much of clarity as of now, but one thing is that for last 20 odd years, I have been into building AI solutions, right? Solving problems through AI. I think I would not go for another problem solving, like, okay, find out another problem in any of the areas and solve for that. But my objective would be how we can make AI more usable, more beneficial to the society, or more beneficial to the humankind, and kind of provides an equal opportunity. So my objective would be like not building an AI, but enabling AI to help people in a large scale or help businesses in a large scale. So that is a very vague idea I have right now. I really do not have much of thought beyond that. But another problem solving, like I did it in consumer sector, now you do it in healthcare. I don't think that's really excites me.
Very good. With that, we come to the end of today's session. So, very enriching, very informative. Thank you for sharing all your knowledge, wisdom, and journey specifically with us. I'm sure many of the viewers will relate and take lessons out of it. So, thank you once again for giving me time. And it was really an honor and a pleasure to host you today.
It is great talking to you, Sudeep, and thanks that we caught up through this. I have always been appreciative of all of your work, both as a technologist and also as a communicator. And I'm very happy to be part of this session today. And I wish you all the success. And of course, we can catch up any other time. And if anyone gets any benefit out of this discussion, I would think that this time was very well spent.
Yeah, they will definitely get, sir.
Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you,
So-
Sudeep.
Thank you so much.